Hi. Today we will continue. We will have the second video podcast and we will talk with you a little bit, or we'll think together with you on those techniques or those, let's say, elements that help us to think or to understand what thinking is. First of all, I would like to remind you a little bit what we touched last time. We just for the introduction, I wanted somehow to draw a clear picture of what a philosophy is, or a certain philosophic direction, or certain philosophy. And I used a violin, but today I will just show you this picture a little bit. And here we have notes then. So the sounds, and this is one accord. And a philosophy is always something like this. But they are different because there will be different notes. But usually philosophers are trying to use those accords or those notes or those sounds, we can say, for their accord that would sound in a new way and which would help them to open something new. I highly recommend for those who love thinking to find this book. This is Atlas Philosophie. It's in German, and it's a wonderful book because here they gave you a very short, very brief description in pictures and also a little a little bit of information about every, let's say, more or less important philosophy school. And I suggest you to make one exercise. Just take one philosophy school, and try to use elements, or at least one element, to replace it with something in this philosophy school that you wanted to exercise with. It will be very interesting to hear about your experiments. So also, I was trying to make like an introduction to post-psychology. This is also it is a brand new philosophy school developed by Valery Kurinsky from Ukraine, and he suggested some just unique things, I believe. First of all, one of his idea was just to believe that a human originated from the beautiful. I think this is just a marvelous idea because it completely changes us and shows that we are different from animals, and because they don't have it at all, and it makes us I think somehow just a little bit, I don't know, it brings us back, I think, to our nature a little bit. It's unnatural to believe, in my opinion, to believe that we are just animals, that we are just, we come from, originate from monkeys. So that's why probably I love post-psychology. It's so different. And also, he suggested that despite the fact that we have this animalistic, let's say, instrument, our body and soul within our body, these things come together. And I even draw a little picture for you. So, I beg your pardon for my graphic. And let's say the body, or physical body, yes, it's in this orange color, and our soul, or psyche, if you like this word more scientific, in blue, because our psyche, it's in our body. Our psyche is a little bit different, or soul, it's a little bit different from the nervous system. And in one of the programs, we'll probably touch this issue more, we'll go deeper into the details of this. So, one more thing is that Kurinsky suggested to believe and that we have something else that guides us as humans, and that is culture. And culture, in a sense, that something which is created by people, something beautiful created by people, and that changes us to be better beings. And this includes also science. This includes like different directions in, let's say, religion. There is a lot of beautiful in religions. Otherwise, why would people believe? Why would people choose a religion? And this includes arts and many, many other things. So the scope of culture is quite broad, and we can always choose something for our own inspiration. And about these things we will speak a little bit later. In one of his, I forgot to mention last time that Kurinsky in one of his books spoke, or he quoted Nietzsche, or Nietzsche's definition of soul, human soul. So Nietzsche said, "Die Seele ist die Summe der inneren Bewegungen." If to translate it in English, it means the soul is a sum of internal movements. Isn't it beautiful? I love this definition. It's very instrumental because it allows us to come to what Kurinsky came, to believe that we think only when we feel. This is a very good concept. So, and it allows us really to understand when we think and when we don't think. So if we don't have a feeling about something, it means that we don't think. We didn't think about this. And quite the opposite. So feeling and thought, it's like two sides of the same thing. At least we can believe it, or we can accept that this is it, and this is an instrument which will allow us to do some other things which we will definitely discuss with you in other programs. Also, in this issue, I wanted to touch a very sensible, let's say, very sensible element of what we need here, and that is the spirit. What is the spirit? Anyways, we would come to this question sooner or later. And I suggest my own interpretation. It will be 1,000 or 1 or whatever. You can give the number. But it's one definition or many. But somehow I feel that, no, I like this definition. So spirit, it's something that comes to our imagination and which is experienced or felt by our soul and by our body. So, and I decided even to use a sign on this, let's say on this little picture, to use a sign of Wi-Fi. So spirit is something that comes down on us, and then we can feel it with our soul and body. Some of you may ask, or we need to ask ourselves, but what if we don't feel it? Why we don't feel everything? In my opinion, we have some filters in our, let's say, in our imagination, in our brain, if you want, because imagination is a part of the brain. It's in the brain, set in the brain. So there are some principles that serve as a filter for us to understand what we should feel and think and what we should not. And if we try to analyze what makes us, what puts those principles into us, I could name definitely our society, let's say the environment where we live, also family. Probably the first thing is the family. Everything starts within the family, or even before the family. Yes, even before a baby is born, The baby, as we know these days, feels everything, hears many things, and starts learning many things from daddy and mommy. So there is society, or social, let's say, filter, which comes, we learn from them. Also from education. Look at, we can look at any writer or any artist, any scientist. All of them were very educated. If we take Shakespeare, let's look at his language. It's just a very beautiful language. Or if we take Edgar Allan Poe, for example, beautiful language. Those poems like Nevermore, Annabel Lee, it's so beautiful, unbelievable. So education, this is the second filter, which allows us to understand, or allows us to that filter, spiritual filter, to decide what we get into our heads. In other words, also probably we need to include here into this list religion, or our faith. And faith, we wouldn't have faith if we didn't love it, if we didn't see something beautiful, if it didn't allow us to find something very attractive in religion. And several years ago, probably 5 or maybe even 10, there was an article in, I believe it was Scientific American, I could be wrong, it would be in Daily Science. Daily Science, it's web resource, scientific web resource. So the news was that in magnetic resonance imaging, in that machine that I showed you last time, they scanned the brain of a person, and they found out, scientists found out, that if we think about God, some parts, some areas of our brain become like they turn into light, let's say, for the image. That's the way it is. At least we can use that term, that light up, for example. So, and they don't light, the same areas don't light up if they think, if a person thinks about something different. So this is a very, it's already an instrument for us, and it's already a mystery about which we need to think, because it's a part of our being. Also, to this list of, let's say, those filters, I would add one forgotten, at least in English literature, forgotten element, which is called conscience. And it is not mentioned very often these days, at least in literature. It is not mentioned in public, let's say, presentations or public speeches. Conscience as an instrument which allows us to filter what comes, like spirit, what comes on us, what we get from the news, from the books, from watching behavior, let's say, because behavior can be also beautiful. So, and we can add, by the way, this instrument of conscience to this motherboard, to this chip, which I suggested to imagine as a tool that would help us to practice introspection, to practice, let's say, observation of our own thoughts and feelings. I believe that for today, this would be enough, and please sign up for this video podcast, and you're welcome to write your questions, and I'll try to answer to them. Bye-bye.